Have you ever woken up, hit the snooze button 3 times, and rushed out the door with a coffee in one hand and your phone in the other, already feeling behind before the day even starts? What if I told you that one tiny shift in your morning could unlock a calm, focused, and purpose-driven life, without needing to add anything to your already packed schedule? Let's be honest, most of us start our days on autopilot. The alarm goes off, and before we even open our eyes, we're reaching for our phones, checking emails, scrolling through news, maybe sneaking in a few TikToks. We stumble into the bathroom, pour whatever's left of the coffee pot into a travel mug, and mentally prepare to survive another chaotic day. It's not exactly the life of clarity and intention that we want, but it's the one we've gotten used to. Now imagine this instead. You wake up, not with dread, but with direction. You stretch your body, take a deep breath, and feel grounded. You drink a tall glass of water. You eat something that fuels you, not drains you. You move a little. Maybe it's a walk around the block, a few minutes of yoga, or just some simple stretches. You open a book, write a quick thought in your journal, or sit in silence for a few moments. You actually look forward to the day ahead. Sounds dreamy? It's more real and more achievable than you might think. The truth is, the way we begin our mornings sets the tone for everything that follows. That frantic rush? It doesn't just stay in the morning. It lingers. It creeps into our meetings, our conversations, our decisions. On the other hand, a morning that begins with intention, no matter how small, has the power to create ripple effects through our entire day. The ancient Stoics understood this well. Long before caffeine-fueled commutes and phone addiction were a thing, they emphasized the importance of a purposeful start. Aristotle believed the first hours of the day were sacred, crucial for shaping your mindset. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, famously said, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." He wasn't trying to be poetic. He was being practical. He knew that if you want to live a meaningful day, you need to start it with meaning. But this isn't just about philosophy, it's about practice. We're not talking about a picture-perfect wellness routine with green smoothies and meditation apps. We're talking about building your own version of a mindful, energizing morning that works for your real life. Something that doesn't feel like a burden, but a gift. And here's the best part, it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, it shouldn't be. A good morning routine isn't about doing more. It's about doing less, but doing it better. Think of it like creating a sacred space at the start of your day. Just 15 to 30 minutes where your body, mind, and soul get a moment to check in, breathe, and align. You'll be surprised how much that tiny window can impact your mood, your focus, and your overall mindset. And it's not just talk. Many high-performing people, from CEOs to athletes to artists, swear by a morning ritual. Some meditate, some write morning pages. Others hit the gym before sunrise. They've figured out that when you own your morning, you can own the rest of your day. So if you've been feeling like life is rushing past you, like you're constantly reacting instead of choosing, like your mind is cluttered with stress, noise, and pressure, then maybe it's time to pause, to breathe, to reclaim your mornings, before the world gets a chance to claim them first. Because as the saying goes, win the morning, win the day. Now let's break it all down. In the next section, we're going to walk through exactly how to build a powerful, personalized morning ritual, one that clears your mind, energizes your body, and centers your soul. Ready? Let's dive in. Let me paint you a picture. You're standing in your living room, trying to find your keys. Your phone's buzzing with unread messages. There's a stack of unopened mail on the counter, 3 half-used notebooks on the desk, and at least a dozen browser tabs open on your laptop. You feel distracted, overwhelmed, and weirdly exhausted, even though the day's just started. Sound familiar? In our modern world, we're drowning in stuff, not just physical clutter, but mental noise, digital overload, and emotional baggage. We've filled every corner of our homes, every slot in our calendars, and every inch of our minds with more than we can handle. The result? Constant stress, decision fatigue, and a lingering sense that we're falling behind, even when we're doing everything. We tell ourselves we need to do more, be more, keep up. But what if the real answer isn't doing more? What if the secret is doing less? The Stoics may not have had smartphones or notification panes, but they understood something that we've forgotten. Simplicity isn't just about having fewer things. It's about making space for what really matters. As Socrates warned, beware the barrenness of a busy life. It's not busyness that gives our life value, it's presence, clarity, and intention. So how do we simplify in a world that thrives on complexity? Let's break it down into 4 steps, 4 small, intentional actions that can help you declutter your life, quiet your mind, and reconnect with what truly matters. Step 1. Declutter your space. Your outer environment reflects your inner state, and when your home is chaotic, your mind usually follows suit. Start with one small area, a desk, a drawer, a closet. Ask yourself, do I use this? Do I love this? Does this serve a purpose? If the answer's no, let it go. You don't need to become a minimalist overnight. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every item you remove is one less thing competing for your attention. And the clearer your space, the calmer your mind. As the saying goes, outer order contributes to inner calm. You'll be amazed at how simply tidying up a single shelf can make you breathe easier. Step 2. Simplify your schedule. Let's face it, we've all said yes to things we didn't really want to do. Meetings we didn't need to attend. Events we didn't enjoy. Deadlines we didn't have to take on. Take a good, hard look at your calendar. Is it filled with things that energize you or drain you? Greg McKeown, the author of Essentialism, put it perfectly. If it isn't a hell yes, it's a no. Practice the power of the pause. Before you commit to anything, ask yourself, is this aligned with what matters most to me? If not, it's okay to decline. Your time is limited. Protect it fiercely. The goal isn't to empty your schedule, it's to fill it with the right things. Step 3. Streamline your digital life. Let's be real. Our digital lives are a mess. Hundreds of emails, dozens of unread notifications, infinite scrolling through feeds that don't make us feel any better. It's time to take back control. Start by unsubscribing from newsletters you never read. Mute or unfollow accounts that don't inspire you. Set screen time limits, not to punish yourself, but to protect your focus. As Cal Newport, author of Digital Minimalism, said, focus your online time on a small number of carefully selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value, and happily miss out on everything else. You don't have to disconnect from the internet. You just have to stop letting it control you. Step 4. Focus on the essentials. Now that you've cleared the clutter from your space, your calendar, and your screen, it's time to tune in to what truly matters. Make a list, yes, a real one, of the top 5 things that bring you joy, purpose, and peace. Maybe it's your family, your health, a creative project, time in nature, helping others. Whatever it is, give it your time, your energy, your heart. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, very little is needed to make a happy life, it is all within yourself. In your way of thinking, the world will try to convince you that happiness comes from having more things. More followers, more accolades. But the Stoics knew better. True contentment doesn't come from addition. It comes from subtraction. Strip away the noise, and you'll find clarity. Let go of the excess, and you'll find peace. Because here's the truth no one tells you. Simplicity is not about restriction. It's about freedom. The freedom to breathe, to focus, to be fully present, to choose what matters, on your own terms. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if your mind feels foggy, if life feels like it's rushing past and you can't catch up, maybe it's not because you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's because you're doing too much. Want to master your mind? Start by clearing the junk that's clouding it. Because before you can train your thoughts, you have to make space for them to breathe. Right finger up next. We're going to talk about one of the biggest traps of modern life. One that most people fall into without even realizing it. Our relationship with money. Is more money the path to more happiness? Or are we chasing the wrong prize altogether? Let's explore that next. Let's talk about the thing most people are chasing, and most are still unhappy about when they get it. Money. We live in a culture that worships wealth. From flashy cars on Instagram to viral videos showing a day in the life of a millionaire. We're bombarded with the idea that more money equals more happiness. That if we can just hit that next income level, snag that promotion, launch that business, or finally buy that dream house, we'll finally feel fulfilled. But here's the hard truth. That feeling, it never really lasts. You've probably felt it yourself. You saved up and finally bought that gadget, that outfit, or that vacation. And sure, it felt great for a moment, maybe even a week. But then what? The excitement fades. The thing you wanted so badly becomes just another thing. Welcome to the hedonic treadmill. This concept explains why no matter how much we earn, how many things we accumulate, or how far we climb, our happiness tends to stay the same. Why? Because we adapt quickly. It's like running on a treadmill. You're moving, working hard, pushing forward, but you're not really getting anywhere emotionally. Think about it. You get a raise, you're thrilled, but within a few months, that higher paycheck feels normal, and you're already eyeing the next promotion. You buy a nicer car. At first, it turns heads. You feel proud. Then one day, you stop noticing it and start noticing someone else's even nicer car. It's an endless loop of, I'll be happy when. But happiness doesn't live in the when. It lives in the now. This isn't just philosophy, it's backed by research. Studies show that once our basic needs are met, food, shelter, safety, additional income has a rapidly diminishing impact on our overall life satisfaction. In other words, after a certain point, more money doesn't really make us any happier. And yet, we still chase it. Why? Because we've been sold a lie that more is always better. That success is measured in numbers, dollars, square footage, followers, titles. But the Stoics knew better. Way back in ancient Rome, Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." That hits hard, doesn't it? You could have $1 million and still feel poor if you're always wanting to. Here's another trap. In the pursuit of more money, we often sacrifice the very things that bring real fulfillment: our health, our time, our relationships, even our integrity. We stay late at work, miss dinners with family, forget what it's like to take a walk just for fun. We hustle so hard for the future that we forget how to live in the present. And worst of all, sometimes we lose sight of why we were chasing success in the first place. Let's shift the perspective. What if money wasn't the end goal, but a tool? What if wealth wasn't about what you have, but how little you need to feel content? That's not just idealistic talk, it's how truly fulfilled people think. People like the minimalist millionaires, entrepreneurs who, after making it, realized that joy didn't come from having more but from needing less. They traded luxury for freedom, stuff for experiences, status for simplicity. Or take the charitable billionaires, people like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. They've pledged to give away the majority of their wealth. Why? Because they understand that real value comes not from accumulation, but from impact. And guess what? You don't have to be rich to live richly. Some of the happiest people in the world are those who focus on relationships, purpose, and presence, not their bank accounts. They spend on experiences instead of stuff. They give freely. They're grounded in gratitude, and they sleep well at night. So how do you escape the money trap? It starts with redefining wealth. Wealth is waking up healthy, laughing with people you love, doing work that fulfills you, going to bed at peace. Those aren't luxuries, they're essentials. Next, practice gratitude. It might sound simple, but it's powerful. Start or end your day by listing 3 things you're thankful for. It rewires your brain to notice what's already good, instead of chasing what's missing. Then, spend with intention. Buy things that align with your values, that serve your long-term goals, or bring you true joy. Prioritize experiences over possessions, memories over material. And finally, give back. Whether it's time, money, or kindness, giving connects us to something bigger than ourselves. It's one of the few things in life that multiplies joy, both for the giver and the receiver. Because in the end, money is just that, a thing, a neutral tool, not good or bad. It can free you or enslave you. It all depends on how you use it. So don't let it rule your life. Don't be a slave to money. Let it serve a meaningful life. Right finger up next. We're going to take this even deeper. Because once we stop chasing outside validation, like money, fame, or approval, we're left with a bigger question. What actually drives us? What makes life worth living when no one's watching? In the next section, we'll uncover the secret to intrinsic motivation, and why the real prize isn't out there, but inside. Stick around. You've seen it before. Maybe you've even felt it yourself. That exhausting chase for recognition. The pressure to win, to perform, to achieve something that'll finally prove, what? That you're successful? That you matter? Maybe it's getting that dream job, hitting a certain number of followers, buying the right car, getting that six-pack, earning that award. We grind, hustle, sacrifice, and when we finally get there, what happens? It feels great for a moment. But then the feeling fades. The applause stops, the crowd moves on, and deep down, we're still asking the same question, now what? This is the paradox of external validation. It's fleeting, it's addictive, and worst of all, it's never enough. You can spend your whole life trying to impress others and still feel empty inside. Because living for the spotlight means you're always performing and never being. The Stoics saw this clearly. Long before the world had followers, likes, and status updates, they understood that real peace, real fulfillment, comes from within. Not from applause, not from awards, but from aligning your actions with your values. It's what we call intrinsic motivation, doing something because it matters to you, not because it gets you attention. And that's where the magic happens. Think back to a moment when you were so focused, so immersed in what you were doing, that time seemed to disappear. Maybe you were painting, writing, running, building something. You weren't thinking about how others would react. You weren't worried about praise or judgment. You were just there, present, fully engaged. That's called flow. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi described it as the optimal state of consciousness, where your skill meets just the right amount of challenge. It's when you're stretched, but not stressed, pushed, but not panicked. It's not passive, it's purposeful. You're creating, growing, becoming. And here's the thing. Flow doesn't happen when you're chasing a trophy. It happens when you're doing something because you love it, because it feels meaningful, because it brings you alive. That's the difference between chasing the podium and embracing the path. When we focus only on outcomes, likes, money, awards, we rob ourselves of the joy in the process. We start measuring our worth by metrics. And when we fall short, we question everything. But when we shift our focus inward, when we define success on our terms, we become unstoppable. So how do we make that shift? Step 1. Define your values. What truly matters to you? Not what your parents wanted. Not what society celebrates. You. What kind of person do you want to be? What principles guide your decisions? Take the time to write them down. These aren't goals, they're anchors. They'll hold you steady when the world tries to pull you in 1,000 directions. Step 2. Set meaningful goals. Instead of asking, what should I achieve? Ask, what do I care about deeply enough to pursue, whether anyone's watching or not? It could be building something, serving someone, mastering a skill, healing, creating, teaching. Your goals don't have to be flashy, they just have to be real. Step 3. Embrace the journey. Don't wait for a big win to celebrate. Start noticing the small victories, the daily effort, the quiet growth, the courage it takes to keep showing up. Growth doesn't always look like a viral success story. Sometimes it's just being a little kinder than you were yesterday. A little braver. A little more honest. That's winning. Step 4. Find your flow. What activities pull you in? What work makes you forget to check the time? That's your zone. That's your place of power. The more time you spend there, the more energized and alive you'll feel, regardless of who notices. Because fulfillment isn't found in applause. It's found in alignment. Want some real-life proof? Think of the artist who paints with no intention of selling, just for the joy of creation. The scientist who spends years researching, not for fame, but to uncover truth. The volunteer who shows up every weekend to serve, asking nothing in return. They're not chasing trophies. They're living their truth, and they're more free than most people ever feel. We've been conditioned to believe that value comes from visibility. That if we're not seen, we don't matter. But that's a lie. You don't need a stage to be worthy. You don't need applause to be valuable. You just need to live a life that's true to you. Because in the end, let's be honest, we live in an age of too much information and too little understanding. You can Google anything in 5 seconds. You can scroll through headlines, watch short clips, skim summaries. We're flooded with knowledge, facts, opinions, data points. But how much of it actually sticks? And more importantly, how much of it do we truly understand? It's like standing under a waterfall with a tiny cup. The water keeps pouring, but nothing fills. We're consuming more than ever before, yet thinking less than ever before. And in that chaos, it's easy to mistake surface-level knowledge for wisdom. To read one quote and think we understand an entire philosophy. to hear one news headline and think we know the whole story. But deep down, we know better. Because true understanding doesn't come from scrolling, it comes from diving. Not just into facts, but into meaning, into nuance, into context. The ancient philosopher Socrates once said, "I know that I know nothing." Not because he was ignorant, but because he understood the vastness of what he didn't yet grasp. That humility, that curiosity, that's the birthplace of real wisdom. So how do we go beyond the surface? How do we actually develop deep understanding in a world designed for speed, noise, and shallow thinking? Let's walk through 5 powerful ways to dive deep in your thinking, your learning, and your life. 1. Ask better questions. It starts here. Don't settle for what happened. Ask, why did it happen? How does it connect to other things? What does it reveal? Curiosity is your superpower. Every breakthrough, scientific, personal, philosophical, began with a question. Don't be afraid to ask even the obvious ones. Often, those are the ones that reveal the biggest gaps in our assumptions. And here's a bonus. Asking questions isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, of a mind brave enough to explore. 2. Challenge assumptions. Just because something is widely believed, doesn't mean it's true. We all carry biases, based on our upbringing, culture, social circles, media intake. If you never challenge those filters, you'll only see a narrow version of the truth. So pause. Ask yourself, where did this belief come from? Is it still valid? What would someone with a different background say? Critical thinking isn't about being a skeptic, it's about being honest. Especially with yourself. 3. Listen to different perspectives. This one's tough but powerful. It's easy to surround ourselves with people who agree with us. It feels comfortable, safe, but growth rarely happens in comfort zones. Talk to someone who sees the world differently. Read books by authors from other cultures. Watch documentaries that challenge your worldview. You don't have to agree, but you do have to listen. Because understanding others doesn't dilute your beliefs, it strengthens them. It teaches you empathy, and it broadens your lens on life. 4. Connect the dots. Information by itself is just noise. But when you start connecting ideas across time, fields, and experiences, you begin to see the bigger picture. Think like a detective. How does what you're learning relate to something else you know? What are the patterns, the causes, the consequences? For example, understanding Stoicism isn't just about memorizing quotes from Marcus Aurelius. It's about applying those ideas to your own stress, your relationships, your goals. It's about integration, and that only happens when you go beyond memorizing and start synthesizing. 5. Be patient with the process. Deep understanding doesn't come instantly. It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes reflection. Sometimes, we want clarity fast. We want the hack, the shortcut, the 3-minute version. But real wisdom doesn't live in the fast lane. It grows slowly, like roots digging deep into the soil. So give yourself permission to not get it all at once. Let ideas simmer. Revisit them later. Wrestle with them. That's where the insight lives. These 5 steps, asking better questions, challenging assumptions, embracing diverse perspectives, connecting the dots, and being patient, are like your mental scuba gear. With them, you can explore deeper waters, discover hidden truths, and most importantly, understand yourself better. Because the deeper you go, the clearer everything becomes. And that brings us full circle to Socrates, the man who flipped the script on learning by saying, "I know that I know nothing." That wasn't defeat, that was freedom. The moment we admit what we don't know, we finally open the door to learn. That's not the end of wisdom, it's the beginning. Imagine walking into a room filled with the greatest minds in history. People who faced the same fears, doubts, and decisions you're wrestling with now, but somehow, they figured it out. Now imagine that they're ready to share everything they learned, if only you'll sit down and listen. That's what it means to watch the wise. From ancient philosophers to modern entrepreneurs, the world is full of people who have walked the path before us. Who've struggled, stumbled, succeeded, and left behind lessons we can use to avoid pitfalls, gain perspective, and move forward with purpose. So the real question is, are we paying attention? Let's go back to where it all began. Socrates didn't write books. He didn't tweet out quotes or film TED Talks. He walked the streets of Athens, asking questions, challenging ideas, and learning from everyone, not just other philosophers, but soldiers, artisans, everyday people. His wisdom came not from sitting alone with his thoughts, but from engaging with the world around him. His student, Plato, watched him, learned from him, documented his dialogues. Then came Aristotle, who learned from Plato, and went on to shape Western thinking for generations. It's a chain of wisdom, passed down through conversation, observation, reflection. Now fast forward to today. We see it in the business world. A young entrepreneur finding their way with the help of a seasoned mentor. In the arts, a writer studying the styles and struggles of great authors who came before. In everyday life, a student learning resilience by listening to their grandfather's war stories. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to look for those who've already built it, and learn how they rolled it forward. But how exactly do we watch the wise in a way that actually helps us grow? Here are 4 simple but powerful steps to get you started. 1. Identify your role models. Who inspires you? Not just the celebrities or influencers, but people whose values you admire, whose decisions you respect, whose life you'd be proud to live. Maybe it's a philosopher like Marcus Aurelius. Maybe it's a modern-day entrepreneur like Warren Buffett. Maybe it's your mother, or your old math teacher, or your first boss who led with humility and strength. Make a list, not just of names, but of qualities. What makes them wise in your eyes? 2. Observe and learn. Once you've identified your role models, it's time to study them. Read their books, watch their interviews, follow their stories, but don't just consume, analyze. What choices did they make under pressure? What habits do they repeat every day? How do they speak to others? How do they handle failure? You're not copying their life. You're extracting principles you can apply to yours. 3. Seek out mentorship. If you're lucky enough to have someone wise in your orbit, reach out. It doesn't have to be formal. A coffee chat, a thoughtful email, a few minutes of conversation. People who've walked the road often want to share what they've learned. They're just waiting for someone to ask. If you don't know anyone personally, that's okay. Mentorship doesn't always require proximity. You can be mentored through books, podcasts, speeches. Every time you listen to someone wiser than you, you're being mentored. 4. Reflect and apply. Here's where most people miss the mark. They gather information, but don't apply it. After you learn something valuable, pause, reflect, ask, how does this apply to my life right now? What could I do differently starting today? Even one small action, based on wisdom you borrowed, can have a massive ripple effect. Remember, the goal isn't to be your role model. It's to become the best version of yourself, with their guidance lighting the way. Let's be real, we all have blind spots, biases, gaps in experience. We don't know what we don't know. That's why learning from others is such a shortcut. It's like getting the answers to a test before you take it, not to cheat, but to prepare. Let's say you want to live a better life. Not just richer or more productive, but more centered, more resilient, more aligned with your values. Where do you begin? The Stoics had a clear answer. Train your mind in 3 specific areas. They believed that mastering these 3 pillars would give you the strength, clarity, and courage to face anything life throws your way. What are they? The training of desire, the training of action, the training of assent, or thought. Now I know, those terms might sound a bit philosophical at first. But when we break them down, they're surprisingly practical. In fact, you'll probably recognize parts of your own life in each one. Let's explore them, one by one. First, the training of desire. This is where it all starts. It's about learning to want the right things, and let go of the ones that don't serve you. Because the truth is, most of our stress comes from wanting things we can't control, wanting people to like us, wanting life to be fair, wanting success to come instantly. But here's what Epictetus, one of the most respected Stoic teachers, said: it's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. It's not the promotion you didn't get that makes you suffer, it's your belief that it defined your worth. It's not the traffic jam that ruins your day, it's your expectation that traffic shouldn't exist. The training of desire means stepping back and asking, is this want helping me, or hurting me? Am I craving something that's even mine to control? Think of it like decluttering your inner world. The less you're pulled by useless desires, the freer your mind becomes. Real life example? Let's say you find yourself addicted to social media. You're checking your phone constantly, comparing your life to filtered snapshots. It makes you feel drained. Small. Training your desire might mean setting screen time limits, deleting certain apps, or replacing that habit with something more meaningful, like journaling, walking, or just being still. You're not giving something up. You're gaining something better, peace. Second, the training of action. Desire governs what we want. Action governs what we do. This pillar is all about living with intention. Doing the right thing, not the easy thing. Acting with purpose, not impulse. As Aristotle once said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. That means who you become is shaped by what you do, every single day. Are you showing up for your commitments? Are you taking care of your health? Are you speaking truthfully, treating others with kindness, keeping your promises, even when no one's watching? That's training your action. Real life example? Let's say you want to get in shape. You've tried before, but motivation fades. This time, you commit to walking every morning. Rain or shine, no excuses. You start small. You don't overthink it. You build momentum. After a few weeks, your energy changes. You feel stronger, not just physically, but mentally. You realize it's not about the workout. It's about keeping your word to yourself. That's action. That's alignment. Third, the training of assent, or thought. This is the most powerful and the most overlooked. It's about training your mind to think clearly, to examine thoughts before accepting them as truth, to notice when fear, anger, or negativity hijacks your reasoning, and to take back control. Because most people don't think their thoughts, they absorb them. Someone says something rude, your mind jumps straight to offense. A plan doesn't go your way, your thoughts spiral into failure. That voice in your head? Often, it's not you, it's your past. Your programming, your unchecked assumptions. The Stoics taught us, don't just react to thoughts. Question them. Ask, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it mine? Or did I inherit it? Real life example? You're working on a project. You hit a rough patch. A voice in your head says, you're not good enough. You always mess this up. Pause. That's not truth. That's fear wearing a familiar disguise. You take a breath. Replace it with a different thought. This is hard, but I've done hard things before. That's not toxic positivity. That's mental discipline. That's what Stoics mean by training your assent, what you choose to agree with. Internally. So how do you begin training all three? You start with the one thing that's always within reach. Your thoughts. Before you can change your actions, or realign your desires, you need to see what's happening in your mind. What you believe, what stories you're telling yourself, what thoughts you're giving power to. That's your anchor, your launchpad, your home base. Start with what you can control, your thoughts. Because once you master your thoughts, your actions begin to shift. And once your actions shift, your desires begin to align. And when all three work together, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. In the next section, we'll talk about one of the simplest, but most powerful, tools to reinforce this mental training every day. Your personal mantra. A few words that can guide you through chaos, fear, and distraction, straight into clarity. Let's explore how to create your own. Let's face it, life gets loud. There are deadlines, decisions, distractions, people pulling you in every direction, unexpected problems, inner doubts. The mental noise? It can get deafening. But what if you had something simple, a phrase, a whisper, a quiet reminder, to bring you back to center? To remind you who you are, what you value, why you're here. That's the power of a mantra. No, we're not talking about chanting in a yoga studio, though if that's your thing, go for it. We're talking about something more personal, more grounded, a mental tool you carry with you everywhere. A mantra is a short phrase or sentence you repeat to yourself, especially in moments of stress, self-doubt, or distraction. It anchors you. It focuses your attention. It redirects your mind towards strength, purpose, and clarity. Think of it like a compass for your thoughts. So, why does it work? Because your brain listens to your words. And over time, the words you repeat become beliefs. And your beliefs shape your actions. And your actions shape your life. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. As the Buddha said, what we think, we become. And if most of your thoughts are scattered, negative, or reactive, it's no wonder life feels chaotic. But if your thoughts are clear, focused, and grounded in values, that's when things start to shift. Here's how a mantra helps in real life. 1. It boosts focus. In a world of endless distractions, a mantra cuts through the noise. It gives your brain a single point to return to, like a mental reset button. 2. It regulates emotion. Feeling anxious? Frustrated? A mantra can help you slow down your nervous system and shift your internal state, without needing anything outside of you. 3. It reinforces your identity. The words you tell yourself repeatedly become part of your self-image. A mantra can reprogram old beliefs that no longer serve you, and replace them with something stronger. Real-life inspiration. Let's look at how people in different walks of life use mantras to stay grounded. The athlete's mantra. Picture a sprinter stepping up to the line at the Olympic final. Heart racing, pressure mounting, everything riding on the next 10 seconds. In that moment, they're not scrolling Instagram or worrying about yesterday. They're locked in, focused, repeating something like, I am ready, trust the work, fast, strong, now. It's not just hype, it's control. Of their mind, of their body, of the moment. The entrepreneur's mantra. Starting a business is a roller coaster. One moment, you're on top of the world. The next, you're questioning everything. That's why many successful entrepreneurs use personal mantras to stay focused through the highs and lows. Phrases like, I build what matters, I grow through challenge, progress over perfection. It's how they push through self-doubt, rejection, and risk, without losing sight of why they started. The everyday hero's mantra. You don't have to be an athlete or founder to need a mantra. You can be a parent trying to stay calm in the chaos. A student facing pressure. Someone healing through grief, or pushing through change. Mantras like, I am enough, one breath at a time. This moment is mine. These small sentences carry big power. Because sometimes, all you need is one steady thought to keep your balance in a storm. How to create your own mantra. Ready to craft yours? Here's a simple 3-step guide. 1. Keep it short and strong. A great mantra is like a heartbeat, simple, steady, repeatable. Aim for no more than 5 to 7 words. You should be able to say it in one breath. Examples. I am grounded and growing. Discipline equals freedom. Breathe, trust, move forward. 2. Tie it to your values. Your mantra should reflect who you are or who you're becoming, not what the world expects. Ask yourself, what do I need to remember when things get hard? What's the opposite of the negative voice in my head? What truth do I want to live by? 3. Repeat it regularly. Use it in your morning routine. Before a big meeting, during a workout, when you're anxious, when you're tempted to give up. The more you repeat it, the more natural it becomes. And eventually, it's not just something you say, it's something you believe. This isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's not toxic positivity. It's training your mind to hold on to what matters, especially when life tries to pull you off course. Your mantra is your anchor, your inner voice, your reminder of strength. Because here's the truth. You can't control everything around you, but you can choose the words you live by. And those words? They can change everything. Let's bring it full circle. Back when we started this journey, we asked, what if one small shift in your morning could change the way you show up for the rest of the day? Well now, after diving deep into Stoic training, after exploring desire, action, thought, simplicity, mantras, and the voices of the wise, it's time to come home to where it all begins. Your morning. Because no matter what happened yesterday, this morning is yours. And the way you start it? It sets the tone for everything that follows. You can begin in chaos or in calm. You can rush, or you can rise with intention. You can stumble into the day, or you can step into it, fully awake. Fully present. That's the power of a morning ritual. And it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't require an hour-long routine or a Pinterest-perfect setup. It just takes one decision. To greet the day. Instead of fighting it, drink a glass of water. Stretch your body. Write down one intention. Step outside for a minute and feel the air. That's enough. You're not adding more to your to-do list. You're creating space, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, so you can move through the day with clarity. Because once you've centered yourself in the morning, everything else gets easier to face. As the Stoics would say, first control the mind, then move through the world. Or in modern words, win the morning, win the day. So now the question is, how will you start tomorrow? Will you wake up to your phone, or to your purpose? Will you run out the door, or ground yourself before the world gets loud? Will you react, or lead? The choice is yours, and it starts, not someday, but the moment you open your eyes tomorrow morning. So pause, breathe, reset, and ask yourself, from tomorrow, how will I start a new day? The sun sets, The world gets quiet, the emails slow down, the notifications fade, and you finally pause. This moment, right before bed, is one of the most overlooked opportunities for growth. Because just like your morning sets the tone for your day, your evening locks in the lessons from it. You've heard the phrase, sleep on it, but what if you could learn from it? That's where the Stoic day in review comes in. No, we're not talking about replaying every mistake in your head or beating yourself up for what didn't go right. This isn't about guilt, it's about growth. It's about taking just a few moments to reflect, with intention. So before your head hits the pillow tonight, ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. What went well today? What made you smile? What did you accomplish, no matter how small? What are you grateful for? These aren't fluff questions. They train your brain to notice the good. And when you notice the good, you strengthen it, you create more of it. Think of it as a highlight reel for your own life. 2. What challenged me, and what did I learn? Not every day is easy, but every day can teach. Did you lose your temper? Miss a deadline? Doubt yourself? Good. That means you're paying attention. Because within every stumble is a clue about your triggers, your patterns, your beliefs. As Confucius said, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. But first, you had to see the fall. 3. What can I improve tomorrow? Maybe it's setting stronger boundaries, speaking more kindly, drinking more water, turning your phone off earlier. Whatever it is, pick one thing. You're not rewriting your life overnight. You're making small course corrections day by day. And over time, those shifts compound. Here's the beauty of this ritual. It doesn't require a journal, or fancy setup, or 30 minutes of meditation. It just takes a moment. A quiet pause. A willingness to ask, how did I live today, and how do I want to live tomorrow? That question alone? It's powerful, because it keeps you awake to your life. And being awake, fully present, self-aware, and intentional, is one of the most underrated superpowers in the world. Real-life examples? Many high-performing CEOs end their day with a journal, reflecting on their leadership, focus, and emotional triggers. Athletes visualize not just their wins, but their misses, rewiring their brain for the next performance. Parents use bedtime with their kids to talk about what went well and what they learned, teaching reflection through conversation. And you can make this part of your own rhythm, right here, tonight, because from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, you are shaping your mind with every thought, every action, every decision. And the truth is, your mind can either be your loudest critic or your most powerful ally. So here's the final question I'll leave you with. What did today teach you, and what will you carry into tomorrow? Pause, reflect, reset. Your next chapter begins the moment your eyes open again. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone who might need this message today. And remember, you're not alone on this path. We're all training together, one breath, one thought, one day at a time.